Hello, hello. So it's been absolutely ages since I've streamed. So I'm probably thinking no one's going to turn up and it'll just be me. It's totally fine. I'll keep a check though. So if you're out there and watching, say hello in the chat. And if you have any questions or anything, then just let me know. Um, so yes, I'm just opening this up to me. Yeah, we're live. That's cool. Amazing. Okay, so I want to just show you a couple of things from Playwright, which is the new UI mode. So that's what we're going to do today. Just before we get started, I'll just keep a quick overview of what Playwright is. So Playwright is for end-to-end testing. So if you haven't heard of Playwright, you should totally know what Playwright is by now. You're just not following me if not. But no, Playwright is amazing. It really helps you write end-to-end tests really quickly, especially with like the test generator. And everything that built into VS Code makes it so much easier. If you're new to testing, you're only just getting started, it's a really, really good place to start. So yeah, basically, I'm going to start sharing my screen so you can kind of see what's going on. And let me just click. There we go. Beautiful. So this is my Playwright project here, right? And I've just created this really kind of simple project here with some tests in it. Actually, it's a little bit more than simple because this has a login status. So I've got a, let me quickly just walk you through it. I've got a login setup test, which basically goes and logs into Wikipedia. And then I have just a normal test that tests Wikipedia without being logged in. And then I have a test that tests the menu of Wikipedia while you're logged in. And then I have a logout test to test that the logout feature functions. So these are my tests. I have some end variables for the passwords, etc. And then I have my Playwright config set up with my projects. My setup project is here. My E2 tests logged in. I've called this project, which basically matches anything that has logged in the name. So all these tests will basically depend on this setup, and we'll use the storage state to store the storage of that login so that it doesn't have to basically log in again. So that's what that does. And then I've just got E3 tests. That's just normal tests. They do not require the project of setup. It doesn't require to be logged in, so it doesn't depend on that. And it just runs the test as normal. So that's pretty much what the project is. And what we want to do is we want to run our test. Now, previously, we would come along here and we'd run our test in VS Code, right? And you can see there, it's running through the test, it's going through everything, and the test passes. And obviously, you've got the show browser here, right? So if you wanted to see what that looks like, you basically just click on here, and now it's going to open up a browser window, and it's going to run through that, log in, go to that website, and do that. So that's basically how we're normally running our tests, right? Now, again, we have all our tests here. We could then do the menu. Let's test the menu. Now that we're logged in, and we just go over here, you'll see it's going to basically open up that other window. It's already logged in, and it's testing out that menu, making sure that menu works. Great. So if you're out there watching, any questions, just put them in the chat, and I will follow along as best I can. So basically, that's how we are running our tests in Playwright up until now, right? Now, this is really cool, and this is like quite vibrant and stuff. But when you have an error, when something's going wrong and you're debugging, or when you're changing your code and something breaks, right? Normally, we would say you can run your test with the trace view on and then see a trace of your test after you've run the test. And, you know, it's a bit like, but I just want to see right now. So that's what UI mode is. And it's like a watch mode, but like with superpowers. I like to call it with superpowers. Now, I've updated to the latest version. So make sure if you're following along, this is the latest version. Let me just show you what the latest version is in our package JSON. It's 1.32. Okay, so make sure you update to the latest version in Playwright. Hello, Bacon Quagga. Nice to see you out there. Any questions, throw them in the chat. If you're out there, say hello. And basically, yes, we're going to show you the UI mode. So let's get this running. Latest version. And now this time we're going to do npx playwright test. That's what you would normally do. But this time we're going to add in a -- UI. So we're going to add that UI flag in there. This is going to open up our UI, and like, watch this. Now, I'm actually going to close this browser just so we have nothing else open here. We've just got this open. I'm going to now press enter on that npx playwright test -- UI. Bang. Now what this is going to do is it's going to open up, wow, look at that, this new UI mode. So let me kind of just, make that bigger. I'll zoom in a little bit. There we go. And we could do light mode if you want. Totally fine. We can do dark mode. We can do light mode. Let's do light mode just for the video. I'm a bit of a dark mode person, but when I'm teaching, I kind of like to do a light mode just because it's easier on other people's eyes, I think, right? Cool. So this is the UI mode. Now it's really, really cool. As you can see over on one side, I've got a whole tree of all my tests. So those tests that we just seen in VS Code, right? If I go to the test, you'll see pretty much a similar kind of tree of tests. So there are my tests in VS Code, and here are my tests in the UI mode. Fantastic. But over in the middle, I have this whole trace viewer. And if you've seen the trace viewer before, you'll know what this is. The timeline there is at the top. We've got the actions, the metadata. We've got the action, the before and the after, and the source console network and log. So how do we get this running? Well, you can see that it's status are all projects, right? And if I kind of click here, you can see I've got the setup, I've got the ET login, and I've got the E2 test. So they're my projects. So that's cool. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my login test first because I need to log in, right? So I'll run that to make sure it's actually logging in. So you can see there, I'm going into Wikipedia there, I'm logging in, and I'm saving that into storage state. And I can hover along the timeline and kind of see at all times, what was going on. Fantastic. And I can also hover up and down on this actions. So I can see like what happened next. What did I do? If I click on this, I can focus there, go before what happened and after what happened, the action that was there. I can even pick a locator if I wasn't sure, I could click on that and say, oh, that's the enter username. I could copy that, put it into my test and edit it, etc. And I can pop this out as well, see it in big mode in case I needed to, just go along and basically, I don't know, edit something in here, find out what the CSS is, change the color to red, whatever, and kind of understand what my test is doing. So yes, here we go. As I said, hovering up and down, we can time travel back and forth and figure out what's going on. And you can see down below here, I've got all my source code on where it's kind of like, as I move up along, it's changing, right? It's username, password, login. So I can see the source code of the test at all times. I can also see the console, what's happening in the console and the network. All those posts and gets are coming through, and the log of what's happening, get my role button name login, and everything there. So that's fantastic. Now I want to run my menu test, right? So I want to test the menu. I've already logged in. So it should be now saving that browser context storage state and should just run from that. Let's take a look and see if it does. So I'll run this test. And as you can see, I'm logged in and I'm testing that login menu. So we went to the testing login. And we basically checked that testing login is my name, my username for this website. And I basically clicked on the alerts and I got some alerts. And then I clicked on the next button and I got the notices. And then I clicked on the watch and I got the watch list, which is a bit of CSS stuff there. That's fine. And you can see here, there's a couple of network. There's actually console login here. So I can even go and say, whoa, failed to load a resource here. So I can get onto Wikipedia and say, hey, something went wrong here, right? And go and fix that. But you can see everything that's going on. So this is really cool. Now, when you're writing your test, what you want to do is basically you want to edit the test. And you want to see what's going wrong in a kind of a live mode, right? And this is where what we call watch mode. So I'm going to press this watch icon here, right? So I'm going to watch this test. Now I could watch all tests by clicking here, or I could watch just one test. So let's remove that and I'll just watch this one test. Or I could watch 2 tests, 3 tests, whatever. So I'm now going to watch this test. So this is the menu. I'm going to break this test now. I'm going to change the code. I'm going to click this button to open it in VS Code. So open in VS Code, I'm now on that actual file. So you can see it here. Let me just close this over. So let's just break the test. Let's, for example, change the code to make sure it looks for a heading called Debbie. Wikipedia is not going to find a heading called Debbie, unfortunately. So I'm going to save that. And as I save that, you can see I scrolled over and hands up, look, I'm not doing anything. And it's running through that test. And it's got to the point where it's at Debbie and it's like, can't find Debbie. Debbie is not on the Wikipedia watch list. So I can see down here, it's actually telling me in the log, and I could make that, bigger to kind of understand what's going on there. So heading name Debbie is not there. I can also, look at the output if I wanted to. I prefer looking at the trace viewer, but you could, totally do this whole kind of terminal side of stuff as well if you want to. So I basically have this problem. My test is broken. Now, how do I debug this? How do I find this out? So, I can go back in kind of time and say, right, I got to this point. Where did I get to? I got to the notices. The next thing I did was I clicked on this link here. What was this link exactly? The watch list. I clicked on the watch list. Okay. And the next thing that happened was bang, it started looking for a heading called Debbie and it couldn't find it. So I can basically use the pick locator and I can go along here and I can start, oh, look, there's a role heading. So, these are links and this seems to be the heading. So I'm looking for this heading. Let's click that. Now I've got the actual locator I want. I can copy that. I can go back to my test and I can, swap that locator out, put that in. That's what I found. I can let's scroll back there and you can see it's going to run that test again. And now this time, bang, and it passed and it did everything just like that. So really, really cool way of basically debugging your tests. So as I said, it's watching everything. Let's do that again. Let's try something else. I don't know, notices. Let's change the notices to Playwright. And again, we save that. It's going to run through that again. It's already logged in because I'm using that browser context from my login setup that's already there. It's basically got to this point and it said, it can't find Playwright. It tried to click on Playwright and it can't find it. So basically I could go back and say, what was my last point? It was this button here. And now I'm looking for, a get by text Playwright. And I can have a look in that and say, oh, that's really the one I want. Get by text notices. Let's copy that over. Let's go back into our test and let's get by text. Change it to what we found by using our pick locator, saving that, and bang, let me go to that. And there we go. It's running that and it's basically passing. So that's kind of really cool. I can close that pick locator button and I can see that my test passes. Now I can, stop that watch mode, for example, and I can run, this is the other test. I can run this test and I can just keep like going back and forward, running my tests. Let's log out the user as well. So it should come in, run that test and log out. And I can visually see what's going on, which is really, really cool. And just like, it's so fast, but I can nice and slowly make sure I kind of see what exactly was working, what exactly was clicking, what exactly was happening at all stages in my test. So that's basically what watch mode is. Again, you can watch all tests. You can watch just one test. You can play all tests. You can have a filter here. You can filter by even writing. So login, for example, run the login test, and that will just run that test and make sure it's logged in, etc. And then, you can watch that test, open it in VS Code. I'm now in the login test, change something, and just, happy days. Really, really amazing developer experience. I hope you all love it. I hope you have fun testing it out. So make sure you're doing npx playwright test --UI. Check out the latest version, 1.32. Check out the Playwright YouTube channel. Check out the Playwright Discord. Any feedback, this is a preview, so any feedback, any feature requests, anything that you want to tell us about, let us know. Have fun. This has been fun. Thanks for watching, everyone. And see you soon. Bye.